Good evening. Hello. Good evening, people. How's it going? It's me, Jason. Look, look at this. Look at all this new exciting stuff. How's everybody doing this evening? I see that we've got Genosis in the house. Talking about people on mushrooms. Let's keep it for later. Jermaine is here. Steven's here. We got, who else do we got? I know I saw digital slang in the house. Yeah. So how's everyone doing? Sneed Mumble Tech in the house. Alan is here. Just kind of scrolling back through everything that everybody's got going on. Yeah. How do you like this new camera angle? I let me see. How do I do this? How do I show you the back? My chair's too tall. Anyway. Yeah. I almost had everything totally figured out tonight or earlier today, and then I was like, you know what, I don't like the way this is looking. It's not looking special to me, so I'm going to turn everything around, which I started to do. And then I forgot that I had to go to the doctor this afternoon, so I didn't get really anything done done the way, at least the way that I wanted to, because I got this new teleprompter. And the thing that's cool about the teleprompter is once I get it hooked up with this ATEM Mini that I got, plus a couple of HDMI switchers and stuff, I'll be able to put chat up here in my teleprompter, so I can just look at the teleprompter and talk to you guys in chat. So yeah, but there are many layers to getting that done. So I figured I'd just try and at least get one camera working. I can have like, oh, listen to this. Can you guys hear that little chirping? Sounds like cricket. Yeah. The chirping is my uninterruptible power supply's battery has finally gotten to the point where it's telling me that it wants me to change the battery. But I've had this thing for so long. I'm like, I don't even have, so I got to figure out how to change the battery in this thing. Um, yeah, the A10 Mini is really cool, Steven. It's really cool. I have to get my head around, like, so you bring things in and you take things out, but then I want to split things so that they can go from so that it can go from just being like a monitor to being a teleprompter to being all this other stuff. So I yeah, I have all the pieces. I just haven't figured out how to put them all together yet. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So uh I I'm doing another podcast now, and we're kind of putting the Painfully Honest Tech podcast on hiatus, and I'm just kind of doing live streaming stuff on my own from time to time. Actually, I might be doing a lot more live streaming stuff than I had initially anticipated. And I'll talk to you guys about that here in a little bit. Yeah, so just kind of going with a different direction on the channel. So no big drama or anything like that. I just new year, new me. Hey, did you guys notice I shaved my beard? I trimmed it down. It looked like I had sheared a white dog by the time I got done. Yeah, it's gonna do more music related stuff. Um, yeah, I guess I will be getting that question for a while. Maybe we need to start an FAQ, or somebody out there in the chat who's here all the time can like answer the question. Like I said, there's no hard feelings or anything like that. It's just the way it is. Yeah. So I got a new podcast. Thank you. Ace has gone and checked it out. You can find it on any of your favorite podcast app, wherever that might be. You can find it. It is Painfully Honest with Jason T. Lewis, where I talk about tech related stuff, but also probably just about, well, anything I feel like talking about on a given day. So, entertainment, music, creativity, tech, etc., etc. It's all sort of centered around the idea that these are all things that make sense to me. So I don't I don't know. Fact does sound dirty, doesn't it? How you like this new little graphic that I got going on here? Um it looks it's more my taste. It's more my taste. So Tiger Woods, what I heard about Tiger Woods is that he had a car accident and he hurt his legs. That's all I heard. So Um, Terrible to hear. Terrible to hear. And I hope he ends up being okay, unless there's other news that I don't know about. Yeah, thank you everybody who's gone to check out the new podcast. Episode one went up last Friday. Episode two will go up this Friday. And yeah, I'm like, I tried to slowly work my way back into creating the content, as it were, but somehow, I still feel just as like flustered as I did before. So I guess that's okay. I guess that's all right. I'm just kind of doing my thing here. So if you were catching my Twitter earlier today, you will know that my live I'm now officially a Restream streamer. Restream has sponsored me as one of as what is the verbiage for this? Anyway, they've sponsored me. So Restream is has hooked me up and we're working together. So I'm going to be doing some stuff on how to do live streaming stuff with Restream, but in general as well as just kind of like talking about them as a partner. Um, if you I, if you are interested in streaming to not just one, not just two, but up to 30 different um, podcast or live streaming locations: Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, I think Twitter, YouTube, uh, just about anything that you can think of, all kinds of weird ones I've never heard of. Anyway, Restream can stream to a bazillion different locations. That's kind of its thing as compared to a lot of the other streaming platforms. So, yeah, they have sponsored the channel. I'm excited to be working with them. And yeah, what is it restream.io/join/PHT is the link if you want to go and join. This is like a $10 off kind of coupon or something like that. I just got the email today that gives me all the details, so I'm just telling you guys what I remember off the top of my head, but I'll have a whole spiel going on. I wish that it would stream back to MySpace. If we could stream back to 1996, and was MySpace 1996? I don't know. It seems like it was a long time ago. It had to have been the late 90s because, yeah, MySpace. Ooh, man, social media is so strange. That's all I got to say about that. Uh, so yeah, let's see. I'm already answering a question. What questions am I answering? I'm confused. Help me. Uh, so anyway, I did want to talk about some new stuff today. And of course, that new stuff does have to do with smartphones, even though I said I wasn't going to really talk about the smartphones all that much anymore. Well, there was stuff today that I saw in the news that I thought was worth talking about. So I figure I might as well talk about it, right? Um, so it's true, people. It's true. I'm going to go ahead and share this so we can all see it for ourselves. Um, yeah. Apple beat Samsung in phone sales for the first time since 2016. Apple sold like 80 bazillion phones, and Samsung only sold 62 bazillion phones. Um, kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Tom from MySpace is, I think, on like all the other spaces, all the other places. Yeah, so I thought that I would less of a delay with restream comments. Oh, that's good. That's good. Which model sold the most? Let me pop over to this whole thing that I'm sharing. Da, 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 da. It also says, however, Apple's victory happened amid general decline of smartphone market. Overall, smartphone sales declined by 12%, 12.5% in the fourth quarter, by over 2020, and 5.4%. Let's see, I'm scanning to see if it says. I don't think it's not all new iPhone models sold equally. However, the iPhone 12 mini moved considerably fewer units than the 12 or even the 12 Pro. Bad news for lovers of small phones. So yeah, I guess I guess the mini is not selling. I heard that they are going to slow down, or perhaps even stop uh, making the iPhone 12 mini. So there's that. I went to Best Buy to see one, and they didn't have one. I just wanted to see it, and they didn't have it. Um, I bet Samsung did sell more refrigerators than Apple. That is probably the case, Ace, um, because Apple doesn't sell refrigerators. Ouch. Ouch. Yeah. So, goodness gracious. Are we? So, are we looking for? I'm so out of touch. Are we looking for a new SE coming sometime like next month or something like that? Um, because I don't. I mean, I don't know. So Ace says he heard they stopped and retooled for the 12, maybe the 12 Pro. Yeah, I mean it's you would have to imagine that the 12 is the best seller as it has been as that model has been over the course of the years that it is that they have had that sort of in between model, the 10R, the 11, and now the 12. The mini was an interesting thing, and I think that tech people got really excited about tech people got really excited about the mini, and I'm sure it's not a bad phone. I'm sure it's not a bad phone. I'm sure the phone is absolutely fine. But yeah, I'm I was curious to see how it would fare in the marketplace when they have five other models of phones available. Danny's got the 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 OnePlus Nord 5G. Hard to get, but very good, or very god. I don't know which. Um, what is? I mean, that is a okay. I'm just gonna say this about OnePlus. Like, what is a Nord? What is a Nord? Um, that's one thing I want to know. And then I guess this is them going back to being cheaper phones. Um, I have to admit that I've only ever tried a couple of OnePlus phones, and I didn't really love them. So I kind of have lost touch with OnePlus. Once they decided that they wanted to be flagship phones, I kind of just lost touch with what OnePlus was doing. Um, Nord is between More and Ord. Okay, I'll take that. I guess it would be alphabetically speaking. Tech Odyssey in the house. Tech Odyssey in the house. Tech Odyssey is the guy who helped me get an Xbox Series X. Oh my goodness. What's the Nard dog? Yeah, we all know what the Nard dog is, right? Uh, yeah. I, so I mean, I know that Nord means north, but it doesn't mean north in Chinese, does it? I mean, I'm just confused as to where they got the name and why they used it. So I'm getting buzzed. Oh yeah, okay. You know what? I'm still using the old Samsung S21 Ultra. I have in my possession the LG Wing, but I got to get a case for it. I didn't even know they made cases for it. Tech Odyssey told me that they do. And so I'm ordering a case because as much as it's really cool, it's hard to hold without some like it's like all phones kind of slippery and so it's hard to hold when you flip it open. So I'm reserving my feelings about that for now. Um, so what does Tech Odyssey say here? Nord N10 5G is actually solid. Yeah. I mean, I like that they're going back to the cheaper phones, but yeah, it's one of those things where I I, I don't know. OnePlus kind of got stuck in between things. Yeah, the iPhone SE took the many's demand for small phones. You might be right. The 399 price tag certainly was compelling, and so I would have to imagine that those would I have to imagine that being the first phone released, that it would then sort of eat into the market for a later phone for sure. So that makes total sense to me. And I didn't see in the chat. Are we looking at an iPhone SE, whatever they're going to call it this year? Is, I mean, are they get? Is that an every year thing, or is it just going to be kind of like we're going to have that every once in a while? That's my question. Um. So yeah, that I'm assuming. So Franklin says the problem with the iPhone 12 is that the smaller phones, smaller battery, but not a small enough price. I think you're right. Apple had done really good with their pricing models, right? I mean the 10R, the 11, the 12, they all sat in a pretty good spot. Um, and I think they're still doing pretty good with the models so far. But yeah, that the mini being very small compared to the SE, which was, I mean, it's smaller screen real estate, but still not still a relatively similar sized phone. So yeah, I can imagine that because am I wrong? The mini costs $699. Is that correct? So if it at $699, that's a hard sell when you can get the other for $399. The other thing that I'm curious about is, yeah, like somebody said in the chat just a second ago, last year we were hearing about an SE Plus that was supposed to come in March of this year. I haven't heard anything about that. There haven't been any leaks or rumors or carrier pigeons or ravens. No ravens have come from Cupertino and told me of the told me of the new stuff. William is here for the first time. Welcome. Welcome, William. Thank you very much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy yourself. We just sit here and talk on Tuesday nights. We just sit here and talk generally whenever. So thank you for stopping by, my friend. I hope you have a good time. And yeah, I have to admit, okay, so I have the iPhone SE 2020, and I just got the base storage model, 64 gigs. And I just kind of wanted to have that phone as like an iPhone to have. Like right now, it's the newest iPhone that I have. But the other day, it needed to download a new update, and the new update like maxed out the RAM or the memory. So so I couldn't update. It's very very frustrating. So I actually the best way that I could, I'm sure there was another way to do it, but the best way that I could think of to do it is to was to just like wipe the phone and start new, which is okay because you can always just bring everything back from a what is it, a save, a backup. That's what I was looking for, backup. I got this really fancy like leather like folio case for my SE 2020, um, which I like. I love the idea of like fold cases, but they are impractical in every way, shape, and form. Because okay, I got this LG or this Samsung light up LED case, right? And it's cool and it's slim and it's protective and it feels nice in the hand, as they say, ladies. Um, it's got one card slot. Like, what are you gonna do with that? I guess they're expecting you to use Samsung Pay, but what are you gonna do with that? And then it doesn't stay. It once you have it open, it doesn't like stay closed because you got to fold it back. And when you fold it back like this, you can't take a picture. It's very frustrating. I do like the way it feels though. Although this Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra is probably, yeah, this it feels nice. It feels nice. Like a baby's bottom, this thing is. Oh yeah. Look at that's me rubbing the baby's bottom. Samsung. I wait a minute. Who's disappointed? Michael Pepper is disappointed. Why are you disappointed, man? Um, Anchor MagSafe battery, 5 watts, small capacity. Yeah, I haven't looked at it, but I've been curious to see what the MagSafe accessories were like. Um, the one thing that I saw positive stuff about was the Nomad cases. People were saying are really good. So I don't know that MagSafe is totally mature at this point. Let's say. Um, I think there's a lot of potential for it, but it may end up being one of those things like 3D touch that Apple's just like, well, this was a cool idea, but man, and they just kind of forget about it over a couple of years. Although, well, I guess it wouldn't have anything to do with MagSafe. I do hope they bring back the socks like they had for the iPhone or the iPods. I want an iPhone sock, because it was so cold out. It was like negative 20 degrees out here. I needed a sock for my iPhone sock. Um, so Farm Tech here says that he's in love with the Fold 2, got rid of the wing for it, zero regrets. I like the Fold 2. My biggest problem with the Fold 2, and I think this is a problem that I'm going to have with a lot of the folding devices, is that once you unfold the Fold 2, um, it's so cumbersome to hold on to that it's just really kind of a pain in the rear end. And I never got comfortable holding it. I felt like I had to hold it with two hands, or I had to fold it. It was like, you guys know, in New York they fold a pizza, they fold it at the crust and they eat it that way. That's what I felt like I had to do with the Fold 2. Yeah, I never had seen anybody fold a crust of pizza and eat it like a sandwich until New York City, and that's what they do. Um, Yes, unfolded is ungainly. That's true. But I did see, as I was perusing the news earlier today, that Samsung, and this does not bode well. If you ask me, this does not bode well. Samsung is now touting the fact that you can try a foldable phone with 100 days of use. Any of their folding phones. You can get any of their folding phones and have 100 days to try it out. And if you don't like it, you can bring it back. So that's, I mean, how do you guys feel about that? I feel that that's not a good sign for the folding phones. Personally, myself, I feel like that's not a good sign. Um, yeah, William, I agree with you on a certain extent. I mean, well, we've talked about this a bunch over the past year, but recently as well. Just the fact that smartphones, while still interesting and all that kind of thing, they aren't making they aren't making great strides anymore. So there's not really as much to talk about. Dagger Wolf says that Samsung's fold move, the 100 days fold move, is desperate, and I don't disagree. Don't disagree at all. Um, yeah. So yeah, the folding pizza thing, man. And the nice thing about it is the nice thing about the folding pizza is you get the paper plate, and this is important in New York City. Um, you get the paper plate, and the pizza is going to be greasy, right? So you gotta fold it, and then you hold the plate underneath, and it catches all the grease that drips out the back of the fold. It's like it was meant to be that way. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. I I did love the folding pizza. So Paul Lee says he hopes that LG continues to make phones still use the G8 and the budget stylo. I only recently did I realize that it was probably pronounced stylo. In my brain, I always pronounced it stilo, but that doesn't make any sense. Um, I saw a couple of things in the news today about LG that give me pause. As was reported a couple of weeks ago, LG was thinking about getting out of the mobile business altogether, and they had a Vietnamese company that was interested in potentially buying up their North American market and taking that over. Today in the news, I saw that maybe that's not going so well, and LG is having trouble selling off their mobile business, which to me says if they're having trouble, that means they're trying to sell it and they can't. Um, there was also a piece of news earlier this morning that I saw that said that LG like vehemently denied that the sort of Rolly phone that they're going to put out was delayed. I guess there's been some talk that that phone will be delayed, and LG says no, it won't be delayed. But uh, I think that it's yeah. I don't think it's I don't yeah. I think the writing is on the wall for LG, unfortunately. Um, I don't think they can make it. I just think that it's been too many years of too much loss. Um, yeah. So Apple Car is interesting. I would very much. There will be a part of me that wants the Apple Car. Like, give it to me now. I felt the same way about a Tesla, but I was able to, mostly because I couldn't afford it. I was able to sort of push back against that desire, but I desperately wanted a Tesla. Apple Car will be hard for me to resist, but like, have we really sat down and thought about like what Apple Car means? Like what is an Apple Car going to be like? Is it going to be like a Tesla? Is it going to be I don't know. I can't think of what could be Apple-y about a car, if that makes any sense. I just don't know. And then there is the cost, which yeah, I can't imagine if a Tesla. Well, Teslas are getting cheaper, but when Teslas started, like when the first Teslas came out, they were just prohibitively expensive. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I just can't see why I would want to buy a car from Apple over anything else that's on the market, or that will be on the market at that time. Um, I, now, Genosis, let me ask you this: Would you want would you want iOS like in charge of your car? Uh, I mean, I I don't know. The only place that I can compare is that I've used Apple CarPlay and I've used Android Auto, and I've always found Android Auto to be the more um the more satisfying, competent experience. Um, so I just don't know. Like I we've been talking about Apple Car for I mean, I feel like it's been 20 or 30 years that we've talked about Apple Car. And I just don't know. I just don't know how it would be a thing. Yeah. Yeah, what's the yeah, Steven's got a good point. What is the button press combination that you have to hit to like hard reset the car when it freezes? Um so Apple Watch well, it's good. Okay, so we all have to recognize that the technology is moving away from like bespoke individual devices and is becoming like a sort of an ecosystem of a bunch of different stuff. And I can see a point where Apple's ecosystem sort of builds up to the place where you could basically walk from your house to your car and like everything is seamless, and it could just I could see sort of like Apple home kit on steroids kind of thing, I guess. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where I don't think it's anywhere close. I don't think we're anywhere close to having something like that really work. Um And I don't think that the majority there's a lot of people out there that would, well, I mean, it's Apple. Maybe they would. But I I I just a car is a different kind of purchase than a smartphone or even a computer. I mean, you buy a computer for long-term investment, but a car is something different. And I, even if it's Apple, like the first generation Apple car would make me really nervous, I think. So, so I don't know. So Michael Pepper says a HUD with iOS iPad style interface. Um, yeah, using the cameras from the other devices. I mean, yeah, I could definitely see how a lot of these features could be huge. I could definitely see how a lot of these things, how it could work really well together. And now that Apple is, they're getting into the AirTags, and there's all this like micro GPS kind of being able to put things very, very close to their exact location in space. I imagine that there'll be technology that goes along with that will sort of like that will sort of have well, we're looking at self-driving cars, I would assume, right? And by the time an Apple car arrives, it would have to be a self-driving car, correct? I can only see self-driving cars making sense. And Apple would probably be in, I mean, Tesla obviously is doing that, but Apple would be, if they came into the market with a self-driving car, they would be among the first. So maybe, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I instead of buying insurance for the Apple car, you just have to buy Apple Care, and it costs half of what the car cost. Santiago Sanchez says, I really like my LG V60. Let me get back to this. Okay. Like my LG V60, if LG is gone when I upgrade, I hope Sony is still making phones. I don't plan on getting a Samsung or an iPhone. Yeah. Uh, I think that I think that we're seeing like the sort of we're seeing the end of the race. And unfortunately, like Sony's phone business isn't all that safe either. Sony's phone business is kind of doing, I mean, they make good phones, but they're not in US carrier stores. They're not available as readily as other phones. So in the US at least, it's really hard to get a hold of a Sony phone. I mean, the only time that I've seen a good collection of Sony phones, twice I've seen. I was at B&H in New York, and they had some Sony phones, of course. And then I was in Tampa, no, 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 Orlando, and or at a mall in Orlando, Sony had its own store, and it carried all of their phones there. But even that Pro phone that Sony is making, I can't remember what it's called because their naming conventions always are terrible. But that looks like a really cool phone, and it looks like something that could be really worthwhile. Um, but again, it's sort of like the V series for LG. It's something that it's something that you would want, you would think that people would want to have. LG leans on the more professional, rugged stuff with the headphone jack and the features for audio files and that kind of thing. And then you would think that that would really be a selling point, but for some reason it doesn't sell. Um, so I don't know. It's a good question though. If LG exits the market and OnePlus never really got a big foothold in the US so far, I mean, even though LG doesn't sell a lot of flagship phones, it doesn't get a lot of the publicity and the accolades that Samsung does, and Apple for that matter. They still are like the number 4 seller of smartphones in the US. because their lesser expensive phones sell a lot more. They sell a lot of those. So they're still the number four seller in the US. And the problem is they just can't seem to get, well, I mean, now that the writing's on the wall, they're done. LG is unfortunately, I think the more we hear about this stuff, the more the writing is on the wall that LG is not going to survive in the mobile space for much longer. Maybe they'll sell the business off. I don't know, but you know, it's it's going to be interesting because we've got Google, but the Pixel I think has found an audience, but it's for the more mid range phones. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think that Orbit Airsoft makes a good point here. LG and Sony don't need to be in the smartphone market because they're huge businesses in many other ways in many other places across the whole spectrum of tech. But at least up until this point, smartphones and being successful in the smartphone market, I think for companies like Samsung, LG, Sony, maybe even Huawei, these bigger companies where the smartphone thing is just a part of what they do. I still think it was a prestige market. And as a prestige market, I think they wanted to be in there and be amongst the conversation in that upper echelon of the the phones. And LG was doing great. They were doing great. They had you guys remember the LG Flex? I mean, they were pushing the envelope with different kinds of designs and all that kind of thing. And the G series phones were doing well. And then they had two things happen. One, the G5 came out and it was modular and it was made out of plastic and it was terrible, right? And then they also had the boot loop issues that I never personally encountered, but I know from talking about LG phones and hearing people moan and moan and moan about it that many people were affected by the boot loop issues that LG had, I think, with the V10 and maybe the G5. It was in that same year. Excuse me. So I think ultimately they just never got their mojo back after that. Um, I think once they tried things like dual screens and the wing and that kind of thing, it was too late for them. It was a few years too late for them to really like ignite some excitement in the market. So Hugo's got a good point here about MKBHD. I it's I maybe I should be diplomatic about this, but this was one of the times that I really it became crystallized to me what kind of power uh, the bigger tech YouTubers have and how that power can affect the uh, the fortunes of a company. Actually, there's been a couple of times, but MKBHD when the G8 came out, he just he it was an afterthought, and what he did have to say about it wasn't all that good. Um, yeah, and then there was a tweet and then he had the LG TV that fell off the wall or something. So and the funny thing is every year I see that LG has like sent him a birthday cake with like a Marquez Brownlee cast in like icing or something. And and I've always wondered about those birthday cakes. But um at the end of the day, he really kind of he really kind of took wind was left in the sails of LG, sort of got taken out at that point with MKBHD. And the other phone that I remember him completely destroying, and that phone never had a chance afterwards, was the Razor phone, the original Razor phone, which I remember when he reviewed the, what was it, the, it was like Robin's Egg Blue, and then Razor bought that company. I can't remember the name of the original phone, but anyway, he he had good things to say about the Razor phone, but then when it came to the camera, he just trashed it, and maybe rightly so. I had Razor phone too. I didn't have the Razor phone one, so I can't speak personally to the quality of the camera, but Razer was coming out. They were not a player in the smartphone market. They had a cool idea for a phone, and then um, Next Bit Robin. Yes, you're right. Next Bit Robin is the one that I was thinking of. Kayvon, thank you. Um, yeah, he just Razer didn't have a chance after that review. Um, yeah, it didn't, and it's too bad because the Razer phone 2 was probably one of the best phones I've ever held in my hand. It just it felt premium the way that I think phones at that time, and we were talking 2017. So phones in that time, Android phones at least, were still on the way up. Um, and Samsung had started to do well with the quality of their materials, but the Razer phone was something totally different. And it was just such a high quality phone that I really wish that it could. I really wish that it had a chance. Um, and people sort of rag on Marquez, and I've done it myself for not being too like harsh or anything. And there are times where he has put his foot down, as we were just discussing. But I think when you get to that point where he is with the kind of audience that he has, maybe lessons learned have been that, like, wow, if I actually if I say something overly critical, I could, very much affect the bottom line of this company as it has to do with their smartphone division. So I don't know. It's an interesting quandary. So BTC is buying me a Z Fold 3. What is BTC? Um, yeah, Alan's got a good point here. He hasn't really been doing like any kind of long-term reviews or anything like that. I have to be honest, I haven't been watching his stuff as much as I did. I used to just watch his videos when they came out because I enjoyed what he was doing, and I haven't for the past year or so. Oh, Bitcoin. I got you. I got you. Okay. I wasn't making the connection. Um, so it seems like now there's more variety to the kinds of stuff that he makes. Um, and it's not so much like down deep in the nitty gritty of things the way that he used to. But I guess that makes sense because when you're reviewing products, when you get a free product, or when you get a product that you need to review, like in the earlier parts of your YouTube career, you're gonna like dig into that over and over and over again and try and get as much content out of it as possible. But at this point, I would have to imagine that Marquez has to turn things away. I'm sure there's much more that he doesn't take on than he does. So I mean, at the end of the day, like when you have the kind of audience that he does, that Lou does, like I don't even know that it's like for those of us who follow tech religiously and who have been watching them for many 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 years. um I don't know if they make videos for us anymore, if that makes any sense. I just don't know if they. I mean, they're making. They got so many millions of people that have come along and become followers of theirs since all of us got on board. So yeah, I don't know that they really make videos for us, the early adopters, the people who've been around for a long time. It's yeah, they've got a lot of stuff going on. Um, what is the beard test? I have to admit again that I haven't watched an unbox therapy video in probably 2 years. um, and there's something about his thumbnail game right now that is starting to make me really really mad. He's got like two or three thumbnail moves. He's got like I'm holding out the phone like this, and then he's got the face palm, and then there's like one other that I can't remember. But he's got like three. He's got three thumbnail moves, and it's very frustrating. Sharpness with the test with the beard. Oh. Okay, so he's taking pictures of his beard. I got you. I got you. Um, Genosis has an interest. I'm tired of watching long-term reviews. People complain that reviews are early, but the long-term reviews are just mentioning things a week into. Okay, I see what you're saying. I think that there's. I think that the long-term reviews that are out there are not long-term enough. Remember, remember when Pocket Now used to do after the buzz, like Michael Fisher did it when he was on Pocket Now, and then Juan Bagnell took it over. And I don't think they do it at all anymore, which is kind of a drag. But after the buzz was them coming back to the phone or whatever it was that they were looking at, and really giving it a good once over again a few months down the line. And I always liked that because it was like at least the way that they approached it. It was a very like it was not necessarily connected to their emotions having carried the phone. They were just like looking at how the phone or operated after that amount of time. Were there things that they liked or didn't like, or that grew on them or did not grow on them. And the funny thing is, like, I have I have those feelings about the AirPods Max. um as many of you know, I I was a big fan of the AirPods Max when they came out, and then of course there was the moisture gate and all that kind of stuff. But they still sound good. I've got a video coming out soon where I talk about my overall feelings about the AirPods Max, and I'll give you this preview. If you don't have a pair of AirPods Max yet, um, do not order do not order the white. Okay, just stay away from the white. Just don't do it because yeah, 3 months down the line, white's not a good choice. Um, so yeah, Michael makes a good point. Lou can do videos. See, the thing is, like, Lou or Marquez or any of these people who have these huge audiences, they don't have to be on time like the smaller YouTubers have to be in order to get the views. Like people people watch their videos because their videos, it's their video, right? And I don't think it really all right, this is going to sound. I don't really think of Marquez and Lou and other people. I mean, who else is Linus? Well, Linus is still sort of grounded in tech, but Marquez and Lou, while they are still very definitely tech reviewers, tech person, but they're more tech personalities at this point, I guess. And and to me like that leaves them not as connected to the whole thing um as maybe they once were. I don't, does that make any sense? I'm not sure. Thomas hasn't had any moisture issues with his AirPods. I don't think that I have either, although I haven't looked. I haven't noticed anything. I will just say that I don't think I've even taken them out of the house. And my ear pads are dingy, dingy, dingy. And I don't think there's any way to clean them. And the 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 sort of silicone around the frame is a little dingy, and then the little netting is a little dingy. And I don't know that there's any way to like get that back to a nice new looking shape. And 550, I paid $550 for them, you know. Um, yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's a lot. It's a stupid amount of money. Um, I haven't tried Magic Eraser. So I will try Magic Eraser, but with the AirPods, I kind of feel like, oh, it's this new like special Apple stuff that maybe, Magic Eraser will destroy or something. Yeah, well, I Ace has a good point. I could just buy another pair of ear cups for $70. Um, and I probably will buy some space gray ones or something dark because I don't know. I'm not very like, well, I'm kind of OCD about how things look. And yeah, I just see like a little stain on the back of one of the ear cups, and every time I see it, it just bothers me. Um, yeah, I can. It's a patina. Yeah, yeah. Like I don't know that I want that patina. The patina of my hair grease and finger oils. I don't know that I want that. Um, let's see. I just saw something here. Michael's on fire tonight. The AirPods Max seem like a beta device. The same thing with MagSafe. Um, yeah, I will agree that the AirPods Max, while they are incredibly good looking and they function well in their base in their what they need to basically function as, they are very good on that front. However, once you use them for a while, you see where things are less practical and maybe less thought through, in the sense that, like, for me, when I put the AirPods Max on, they don't seem to really like seal on the bottom of my ears as well. It seems like because the ear cups are rectangular and long, that it just doesn't, like, these taper in very easily and like create a seal right here around my ears, right? And most of my headphones do that. But when I put the AirPods Max on, they just seem to like go straight down. And so when you're doing the noise canceling thing, it's not all that it's just not quite as good. Like I was comparing them the other day with the Sony's, the XM4s. And the Sony's are a much more comfortable headphone. Okay. I can say that now after having worn the AirPods Max for a while and then, going back to the Sony's and trying both of them. The Sonys are a much more comfortable headphone. They're lighter. They're the material on the ear cups is much nicer. So I will say that. And I'm doing a versus between the two. It's but at the end of the day, like the question being, yeah, the AirPods Max don't don't seem to be as they don't seem to be as polished as other headphones in that price range, which means you're paying a lot of extra dollars for that design and the Apple cachet, I guess, which to me is kind of frustrating. So, yeah, Apple has guidelines for cleaning the AirPods Max. What are they? Tell me what tell me what they are. Um, Now, just a nugget. I wouldn't go as far as to say they're a style choice because they do sound really good. They do perform at an appropriate level for their price range in terms of their base, like their very basic functionality. And then they have the extra functionality that goes along with being AirPods, right? They have all that going for them. But one thing that bothers me about them is just the things related to the design. Like when I put on the AirPods Max and I lay in bed, automatically the pods are like getting pushed out of place because they're so big. Um, that's very frustrating to me. Same thing with trying to wear them if I'm watching TV with the Apple TV and I have them hooked up. There's no way to position my head where they won't get knocked around, and they don't have the clamping force to stay in place. Um, there's a fine line when it comes to clamping force. The force that you feel when a pair of headphones like clamps onto your head and around your ears. That clamping force is just not strong enough to keep them in place if they are, nudged in any way, shape, or form. And the ear cups themselves are too large to not get bumped around. So I can't imagine trying to wear them on an airplane, put my head back on the headrest and try and take a nap. Like the seal will be broken with the noise canceling and everything else really, really quickly. And that would that would bother me. That would bother me quite a bit. Um, AirPods Max are a great way to get mugged these days. Yeah, but nobody's going outside. Um, nobody's going outside. So who's getting mugged these days? This is not a restream. Okay, man, I hadn't thought about this. Restream is a company like StreamYard or and others. Restream offers a web-based platform for you to stream into YouTube, Twitch, whatever. So Restream is the name of the company. When they first started, I've used them on and off for a long time. When they first started, they were you could get a Restream account, and then you could put all of the different so if you wanted to go to YouTube and Twitch and whatever, you could put all of your different stream keys into Restream and then stream to Restream, and it would put it out to Facebook and all the other places that you wanted to go. And then more recently, they've come up with this web-based platform that you can use to stream through. Like when I was doing the podcast with Viper and Zach, we used StreamYard, and StreamYard was kind of the first one out of the gate when it came to like after Google Hangouts got taken away. Um, StreamYard was kind of the first one out of the gate to do this, and now it's StreamYard and Restream, and I think there are at least one or two other companies that are offering this web-based platform to stream into. So that's what this is. And like I said before, StreamYard or Restream has now sponsored the Painfully Honest Tech channel in general. These streams and everything else, and yeah, they're sponsoring the whole deal, and I'm really enjoying it. And this I've only used this platform now. I think this is the third or fourth time, and it's really intuitive. It's been very easy to figure out. I mean, there are little differences here and there between this and um this and the other stuff that's out there, but it does give you a lot of different options. I may do a video where I kind of compare the different ones that I've used. Um, so you go like this restream up here. I guess that can be kind of confusing. So that's something that I added in. It's a graphic that they give you that they give you, but I can also add in this and take away that. So although I can't really see what that says because my little live ticker and viewers and all that kind of stuff are kind of covering it up. But yeah. So I've got I can do that as well. But yeah, one of the things about the sponsorship is that I definitely need to let people know visually that Restream is behind the whole deal. Um, and it's got me really excited in terms of the channel. I gotta say that bringing on a sponsor, having the opportunity to do a lot more streaming. One thing that I'm thinking about doing, and maybe you guys can help me out with this thought process, is I'm thinking about doing a live show. Like, I don't know if I can commit to daily yet. I don't know if I want to sort of put myself into that crucible so far, but I want to do a live show where I'm basically talking about the tech news of the day. Um, and not necessarily to go in the place of pre-recorded edited videos, but um but to do like, I don't know. I'm enjoying live streaming a lot more. And so I'm thinking about doing it a lot more. Um yes, sort of like the Friday mornings, although like what I'm thinking about doing is something that's, maybe I'll grab a few news stories and I'll sort of talk through those few news stories, and then after that's done, like engage with the chat so I can have something that could be chopped out as a real, like as a video, and then still have the interaction with the chat afterwards. But I'd like doing the live streams a lot better. The edited videos just feel kind of stagnant at this point. They feel kind of stale. Um, I feel like there's got to be some kind of way out there, like after this year of people being at home and getting more used to live streaming and getting and live streaming growing and becoming more mature just because of it. It seems like it would make sense for there to be more live streaming than, or at least more live streaming than there is now, in addition to standalone videos. Um, Standalone videos have their own thing, but I don't know. There's something about going live and getting it out there and then talking to the people, as it were. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about that. Maybe I'll do one like, you know, here sometime soon. What is it? Is it lunchtime there or breakfast, Danny? Are you? I forget where you are, Danny. Um. So yeah. Oh, another thing that I found, by the way. So, Ace, you like the live streams, um, and then clips. Yeah, I know. Like that, Zach and I talked about him doing that, and I know he's doing that right now. Um, and so that's kind of what I think I would like to do as well, or at least something similar to that. I'm thinking about doing like either a morning or a lunchtime show where I grab like the like three news stories that I want to talk about or some topic that I want to talk about, and then just and then have it be sort of a live thing that people can tune into and watch and then interact with me afterwards. But then it can also be a 15 or 20-minute video or whatever after the fact. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. um I can definitely still get other sponsors. The only real stipulation that I have with my deal with Restream is that I can't work with other companies that do basically the same thing, which are like StreamYard and others that I was talking about before. So, but there's still other stuff out there that I could do in terms of sponsorship as well. What happens when there's no news? This is a good question. I mean, there's never no news, right? But I don't I was thinking about it today. I don't really see it being like 100% news all the time. I could see it being kind of like rants from time to time, or just like a generally larger topic to sort of talk about, or something that's topical for the day but not necessarily news, that kind of stuff. uh, Me and the wife could do a coffee talk. Well, the wife doesn't do coffee, and she has a real job, so she has to go to the real job, and I get to stay home and play. But yeah, I think if you follow me on Twitter, which you should, if you don't, Jason T. Lewis, PhD, over there on the on the Twitter. My wife got the second dose of her vaccine for the COVID yesterday, and she woke me up at 4:30 in the morning. She was like in so much pain, she could barely move. She had fever, chills. It was terrible. I was scared. It freaked me out. But she's doing better now. She's starting to feel better. But yeah, I heard from a lot of people on Twitter today that definitely it does require, that second dose. It's probably worth telling your boss that you might be a day or two before you get back to full speed at the job. Well, thank you, Ace. I like to think of myself as a deep individual. I can certainly talk about just about anything. I can talk and talk and talk and talk. The one thing that's interesting about doing the live streams on my own as compared to doing the live streams and having banter back and forth with other folks is that my voice gets a lot a lot more tired because I'm talking a lot. But Daft Punk did break up. It was a very interesting thing. Diablo 2 Resurrected. Yeah, I heard that they were bringing that. Are they remastering it? Is that what I heard? Daft Punk. So if you're not, Daft Punk has been around for like almost 30 years. So they were cool when I was still young. In fact, the original drummer for my old band that I had in New York City, worked at the record label that put out the first Daft Punk record. There's a little bit of trivia for you. So yeah, so yeah, I don't know if you guys watched the video, um, but they did this video of them like walking through the desert, and one guy stops. The silver helmet, I think it was the silver helmeted guy. I can't remember. One of the two guys stops, and then like the other guy turns around and comes back, and like it's a pretty cool video. It's like 7 minutes long. Very cinematic, very cinematic. It's pretty cool. It was a pretty cool video. um 28 years, you're right, that's right, Hugo. So I think after the first shot, like, she didn't necessarily say, I don't feel like I don't think she felt 100%, but I don't think it like really took all that much out of her. But yeah, the second shot just really, yeah, the second shot just really kind of has kicked her ass. Um, which makes me freaked out. I mean, I guess there, from what I've, again, I don't like to pay attention to the news too closely because it freaks me out. But I haven't heard, from what I've heard, there haven't been too many cases of people like getting the virus from this. But I guess this is a new kind of vaccine that we haven't used before. So, and the reason that my wife ended up getting it is she works in social services, and so they're client facing, and they have, so there's a lot more contact there, and so everybody in so it's kind of like the same thing as a medical professional. So she got put on the list for getting the vaccine, and now she's gotten it, and it's yeah, yeah. So Jermaine likes the music discussions. I like the music discussions too. That's one thing I was thinking about putting into the live streams that I was talking about, is like a, what am I listening to today, or something along those lines. Because I definitely want to talk about that stuff. In doing this whole like kind of refresh of the channel, it's been interesting because like one week I might like, there's a lot of music stuff going on and music's in my head, and then another week, there's the other stuff is in my head. It's really I I think that there's a possibility that the Painfully Honest Tech channel could become very very scattered in what it talks about if I'm not careful. But yeah, last week, the discussion we had last week was really great. Maybe I'll have to just plan some of those discussions intentionally. Danny, you like the cat? So, okay, another story. My friend Errol, um, who worked at that record label and was the first drummer in my old band, um, brought the Chemical Brothers onto his record label, and Astral Works was the name of the label, and then for a while became like their manager. Maybe still is. I can't remember exactly what the situation is, but he's been working with them now for a long time, and they're very cool guys. They're very cool guys. Painfully erratic tech. I want to try and avoid that as much as possible. Um, but yeah. So retethered tech. This is what happens. Like I feel like it shouldn't be that hard for me to put together like, a song or two a week and just put them up. Um, but the thing is, I don't know. I rearranged my studio again. Now I have to stop rearranging my studio, because once you move things around, then it literally feels like it takes a month to get everything back together. So I feel like now that I've got this whole thing set up, I need to not move anything. The one thing that I did is so this whole setup here is my video setup. I've got the MacBook Pro 13, the M1, and my camera setup and all this stuff here. And then the stuff back there is my music stuff. And I'm not going to fool with that at all. So that should make the music side of things a little bit better, or at least a little bit more consistent. So yeah, because I love doing that stuff. And one of my big goals this year for the channel is to become much more. So instead of planning a video for the day and then getting that video out, then I want to plan like 3 or 4 videos ahead and have 3 or 4 videos done so that I can be working on the next stuff. Um, and that would free me up to have more time to do both the music related stuff as well as the writing that I haven't been able to do for a long time. Yeah, this day in music history might be a really good idea. I like that. Um, Now, did Woody Guthrie actually write "This Land Is Your Land" today? Because if so, that's a really cool little piece of info. Yeah, I am doing the covers still. Um, I have a bunch that I recorded. Okay, here's the problem. I will record like 5 or 6 covers, and then I just have like I never try and do the video at the same time because trying to do by myself all of those different things and getting a good performance is really hard. But I recorded like 5 or 6 songs, and then I just was going to record the videos for them, and and then I went back and listened to them, and I'm like, oh, I can do that better. So I just started over. This is the problem about having your own the means of production here in your own home. This is the problem because I don't feel like I'm a perfectionist, but more often than not, I look at something and I say, "Oh, I could do that better." Um, and then suddenly I'm doing it again, and I haven't finished anything. So that's kind of been my problem, Ace, is that I haven't really been able to get that done. Michael, good talking to you this evening. Thanks for being here as well. I really appreciate it. Um, Cheeky, welcome to the chat. Uh, I don't know exactly what you're doing, but I appreciate it. Uh, what is it? Jose, thank you for the kind words. Good to see you. Yeah, I need to just post. Maybe I should do things live, and then I won't have to worry about whether or not it was good enough. It just is what it is. Um, yeah. But that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I don't play enough to really feel like when I was playing a lot, touring and or just playing gigs and rehearsing and writing songs for and stuff like that 20 years ago, my voice was always in shape. But since I don't do that all the time now, I feel like my voice it takes a while to like shake the rust off. So I always want to like keep going back. I don't know. So I should just do it live with the camera on, post it, and not worry about it. Yeah, Ace, you're right, and I've always been a big proponent, like especially of my YouTube stuff, of just saying like perfect is the enemy of good, or like whatever the saying is, and just getting stuff out there. But I tend to be really precious about the music stuff, and I don't want to be. Like I want to be more spontaneous about the music stuff, and I'm just not. And it's kind of a drag, but I'll get better. I think once I have the setup set up in a way that I won't have to keep messing with it, then I'll be in better shape. But having doing all the video stuff, including the live streams and all that on at the same workstation as I was doing all the music stuff, um, just the needs of live streaming audio versus the needs of the audio for doing the music stuff was different enough that I was always changing my setup slightly instead of just being able to sit back down where I was with everything the way that it was and continuing to work. So I'm always trying to get back up to speed with the work. And so now, hopefully, I'll be able to do a little bit more of that, just sit down and do the work kind of thing. I remember the time that I got the most work done was when I had a mixing board, an analog mixing board that didn't have any kind of, it was like from 1976. It was like an old Allen Heath board, and it was connected to my computer, which was, they were kind of just going back and forth between one another. And you couldn't just open up another song and work on it, right? And because then you would have to like zero out the entire mix that you had on the board in front of you. And to recall it, you would have to, well, there, you could make up little charts or you could take pictures or whatever, but it wasn't just a close the window, open a window, and then you're working on another song. And so I used to work on songs until they were finished, and then I would decide they were finished, and I could not go back and mess with them anymore because I had moved on to something else, and it partially existed in the analog world, right? So that's one of the problems of digital is that you like I have songs that I recorded. Let's see. The oldest song that I have that I'm considering for an EP that I'm working on is from 2002. And I think I have in varying forms of completeness at least 50 to 75 songs that aren't done. I mean, they could be done, but I keep messing with them. I keep re-recording them. And I need to stop doing that. I need to stop doing it because it's, at a certain point, you just have to make it whatever it is and then move on, as Ace has said. Um, and I just, because I have all the stuff here and I can just mess with it whenever I want to, as much as I want to, I don't decide that anything's finished. Uh, so Rohan's got a question about the iPads. That I haven't followed all the leaks and rumors like religiously, but from what I hear, we're likely gonna see some kind of iPad um, at the March event, which I believe is the 16th. So I think that's March 16th is when we'll see potentially ninth generation iPads. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, that's a good point, Ace. Like whenever I'm doing an edit of a video, it's more of an organic thing. Like there's something about the I don't know. Music feels more sort of like once you decide that it is a thing, it is a thing, whereas the videos feel more organic somehow. And maybe it's just because I haven't done the videos as much as I've done the music. I think ultimately I'm being too precious about the music stuff. Um and I need to be less precious and get more stuff out there. And again, like Kaboom here is saying he's listening to a lot of lo-fi. I really enjoy the lo-fi stuff as well. I can't say that I'm a big aficionado or of it. I don't know a ton, but so as you guys probably know if you've been around the channel for a while, I have I have like anxiety issues and all that kind of stuff. And the one thing that really helps me, um, the one thing that really helps me is music and reading and doing like a lo-fi tune, like grabbing some samples putting things together like that. Like that's the kind of thing where I could start one day and then put it out the next day, which is what I did with the piece that I put out a couple of weeks ago. Because the to me it's almost like it's like doing a puzzle. I think I likened it to like quilting. My grandmother was a big quilter, and it's just, you just kind of make this montage of something really cool, and then you put it out into the world, and it is what it is. Um, I I haven't added the gummies yet, Bob, but I might need to. Um, but yeah, it's one of those things where the lo-fi stuff, just putting together the electronic stuff and it being like really really chill, um, has been really fun. So I gotta do more of that. Now that I've got this set up, I think the way that it's gonna work, I just want to be able to sit down and do the video, sit down and do the music, and like, not have to worry about like any kind of barriers to that flow. And I've been trying to get there for a while, but just haven't quite yet. So writing code and music is very similar. Yeah. yeah, there's it's that way for a lot. Like I get that way with writing. I get that way with editing videos and doing videos and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of people call that kind of like the flow state, which I don't know how it's a good way to describe it, I guess. But yeah, I love the more I can find opportunities to get myself into the flow state, the better my overall like health and well-being would be. Um and so that's what I'm talking about. Just trying to get myself to that place where I can get to more of that stuff. I've never covered Audio Slave. I only know a little bit. Sorry about that. I only know a little bit of Audio Slave. I mean, I'm a huge Chris Cornell fan, huge Rage Against the Machine fan. So I love them both. But Audio Slave happened at a time when I wasn't paying attention to like to mainstream music, quote unquote. I do want to check more of them out though, because Tom Morello is probably, one of the, we'll look back at Tom Morello as like a guitar god of the 90s and 2000s, and there won't be too many people close to him. And same thing with Chris Cornell. I mean, that voice, incredible. So, okay, it's been an hour and a half, and I've told myself hour to an hour and a half is what I'm gonna do as often as I can, so that I can save my energy and be ready for tomorrow, and do more things tomorrow. So I'm gonna jump off here now with that and get back to it tomorrow with some other stuff. Yeah, I thank you guys so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. I mean, I, it's the new era of PHT feels like sometimes it feels like it doesn't make any sense. Sometimes it feels like it makes sense. It's been really good, and it's been really cool to have folks joining into these live streams and being a part of that and just having these good conversations. So I really do appreciate it. You guys are fantastic. And again, I will be back probably sooner than later. Once again, my name's Jason, sometimes known as the JTL, Painfully Honest Tech. Tech so honest it hurts. Until the next time,